She had waited 6 years for this moment. 6 years of loving him, trusting him, believing every single word that came out of his mouth, every promise, every late-night phone call, every "I can't wait to marry you." She replayed those words in her head as she stood at the entrance of the church, her fingers gripping the bouquet so tight her knuckles turned white. The doors opened. 200 guests rose to their feet. The organs swelled. And there he was. Marcus, standing at the end of the aisle in a black tuxedo, looking at her the way he had looked at her since the day they met in high school. Or so she thought. She took her first step, then another. Her father's arm linked through hers, the white roses lining the aisle, the golden sunlight streaming through the stained glass windows. Everything was exactly how she had dreamed it would be since she was a little girl. But she never made it to the altar. Because when she was 3 rows away, a woman in the crowd stood up. Not slowly, not hesitantly. She stood up like she had been waiting for this moment for years, and she was holding the hand of a little boy. A boy no older than 4, with the exact same deep brown eyes as the man Ava was about to marry. The woman looked directly at Ava. Her voice didn't shake. It cut through the music like glass. "That's my husband you're about to marry. Let me take you back." Back to where it all started. 6 years earlier, a high school hallway in late September. The kind of afternoon where the sun hits the lockers just right and everything feels possible. Her name was Ava, 17 years old, good grades, small circle of friends, never the center of attention. And she liked it that way. She wasn't looking for love. She wasn't looking for anything except getting through AP English. And then Marcus walked in. New kid, transferred from somewhere downstate. He didn't say much, sat in the back, kept his head down. But there was something about him, something quiet and steady that made you want to know more. He lent her a pen on the first day of class. A small thing, insignificant. But she remembered the way his fingers brushed hers. She remembered the way he smiled, just slightly, and looked away. By the 3rd day, she was already gone. He started walking her home after school, every single afternoon, rain or shine. He remembered her favorite song. He remembered that she hated the smell of coffee but loved the taste of mocha. He remembered the exact date of her parents' anniversary, things that shouldn't matter to a 17-year-old boy, but they mattered to him. Or at least, he made her believe they did. They became the couple, the one everyone talked about, the one teachers smiled at in the hallway, the one that made other people believe in love. They survived high school together, survived the pressure of college applications and SAT scores and prom night. Which was perfect, by the way. Absolutely perfect. He wore a navy suit and she wore a red dress and they danced until the lights came on. Then college. Different schools, but only an hour apart. He drove up every weekend, every single weekend. Or at least, that's what he told her. She studied psychology. He studied business. They talked about the future constantly. About getting a little house with a big backyard, about having 2 kids, about growing old together on a porch somewhere watching the sunset. There was 1 year where he transferred, said it was for a better program, said the business school was ranked higher, said it would be better for their future. She believed him. Of course she believed him. Why wouldn't she? He called every night, texted her good morning, sent flowers on her birthday, flew back for her graduation, got down on one knee at the exact spot where they had their first kiss, under the big oak tree behind the high school football field. She said yes before he even finished the question. But here's the thing about lies. They leave cracks, small ones, easy to miss if you're not looking. And Ava wasn't looking. She was too busy planning a wedding, too busy being in love, too busy believing that she had found the one thing everyone else spends their whole life searching for. The signs were there, though. His phone, always, face down, on the table, on the nightstand, in the car. She told herself it was a habit. Some people just do that. No big deal. The weekend trips. Once a month. Sometimes twice. He said he was visiting his mom. His mom was sick, he said. Needed help around the house. Ava offered to come with him a dozen times. And every single time, he had a reason why she shouldn't. His mom was embarrassed about the house. His mom wasn't feeling up to meeting anyone new. His mom had a doctor's appointment that weekend anyway. And then there were the phone calls, the ones he took in the other room, the ones where his voice dropped to almost a whisper, the ones that ended the moment she walked in. She asked him once, just once, who he was talking to. He said it was his brother. They were planning a surprise for the wedding. Something special. She wanted to believe him. So she did. But deep down, in a place she was too afraid to examine, she knew. Something was wrong. Something didn't add up. But what was she supposed to do? Call off a wedding because of a feeling? Because of a phone placed face down? Because of some weekend trips? No. She pushed it down, buried it, focused on the seating chart and the flower arrangements and the cake tasting. Because that's what brides do. They plan. They hope. They trust. The morning of the wedding, she woke up in her childhood bedroom, the same room where she had pinned pictures of Marcus to her corkboard in high school, the same room where she had cried on the phone with him after her first college heartbreak, not with him, but with a friend who had betrayed her. He had stayed on the phone with her for 4 hours that night. 4 hours, just listening. How do you go from that to what happened next? Her mother helped her into the dress. White lace, cathedral train, something borrowed, something blue. Her bridesmaids fixed her veil. They laughed, they cried, they took pictures. Everything was exactly as it should be. And yet, there was a knot in her stomach. A cold, tight knot that had been there since she opened her eyes. She told herself it was nerves. Every bride gets nervous. It's normal. It's expected. It means you're taking it seriously. The limo pulled up. Her father took her hand. The church doors opened, and she began to walk. The music was playing. Pachelbel's Canon. She had chosen it when she was 15 years old, long before she ever met Marcus. She had always known she would walk down the aisle to that song. 1 step, 2 steps, 10 steps. Her eyes locked on Marcus at the end of the aisle. He was smiling. But something was wrong with that smile. It didn't reach his eyes. It looked frozen, like a mask that had been glued on. She was close enough now to see his hands. They were shaking. She told herself he was emotional. Grooms get emotional. It's sweet. It's romantic. 15 steps, 20 steps. The guests on either side were smiling at her. Her mother was crying in the front row. Her bridesmaids were beaming. And then she saw something. A flicker of movement in her peripheral vision. 3rd row, right side. A woman. Not an elderly aunt, not a family friend. A young woman. Maybe 24, 25. Dressed nicely, too nicely. Like she had planned her outfit weeks in advance. Like she had been waiting for this day, and she was holding the hand of a little boy. The woman stood up. Not slowly, not hesitantly. She stood up the way a prosecutor stands up to deliver a closing argument, with absolute certainty. The music kept playing, but Ava couldn't hear it anymore. Everything went muffled, like she was underwater. The woman looked directly at Ava. Her eyes were not angry. They were tired, exhausted, like she had been carrying something incredibly heavy for a very long time. And then she spoke. Her voice was clear, steady, loud enough for the entire church to hear. "That's my husband you're about to marry." The little boy looked up at his mother, then at Marcus, then at Ava, confused, scared. He didn't understand what was happening, but everyone else in that church understood. Marcus didn't move, didn't speak. His face went white, not surprised, not confused, guilty.
The next few minutes were chaos. Ava's father stepped forward. Her mother was crying, not happy tears anymore. The guests were whispering. Some were pulling out their phones. The priest didn't know what to do. But Ava just stood there. Frozen in the middle of the aisle. Still holding her bouquet. Still wearing her veil. Still in her wedding dress. The dress she had spent 6 months searching for. The dress she had cried over when she found it because it was perfect. And then the woman, Danielle was her name, started talking. And the truth came pouring out. Marcus had been married for 5 years. 5 years. He had a wife and a 4-year-old son named Elijah. He lived a double life, one with Danielle and Elijah in a quiet suburb 2 hours away, and one with Ava, the girl he had met in high school and never let go of. The college transfer was a lie. He moved back home because Danielle was pregnant. The weekend trips to see his mom were weekends with his real family. The phone always face down, was so Ava would never see the lock screen. A picture of Elijah. His son. Everything Ava thought she knew about the last 6 years of her life was a lie. She looked at Marcus. He was still standing at the altar. Still frozen. Still silent. The mask had cracked. What was underneath was not remorse. It was fear. The fear of being caught. Not the pain of hurting someone. Just fear. Ava didn't scream. She didn't cry. She didn't throw the bouquet. She didn't slap him. She didn't make a scene. She just turned around. And walked back down the same aisle she had just walked up. Her father tried to follow her. She held up her hand. Stop. Don't. She walked past the guests. Past the white roses. Past the photographer who had no idea whether to keep taking pictures. Past the church doors. Into the sunlight. And she kept walking. She didn't know where she was going. She didn't care. She just knew she had to get away. Away from the church. Away from the lies. Away from 6 years of her life that had just been erased in a single sentence. It's been 2 years since that day. Ava never spoke to Marcus again. Not once. He tried to call. He tried to text. He tried to show up at her apartment. She moved. Changed her number. Started over. But here's the thing nobody tells you about betrayal. It doesn't end when the relationship ends. It lives inside you. It makes you question your own judgment. Your own instincts. Your own ability to tell the difference between love and manipulation. She still wonders. Sometimes in the middle of the night when she can't sleep, what would have happened if Danielle never stood up? If she had made it to the altar. If she had said I do to a man who was already someone else's husband. Someone else's father. She was 3 rows from forever. 3 rows. And now she asks the question that has no easy answer. The question she wants you to answer. Would you forgive him?